A new era for boxing on Channel 5 continues. Nathan Gorman faces Thomas Salick for the IBF International Heavyweight Championship, whilst Josh Kelly makes his return. Watch Britain's best prospects in The Big Fight Live. Friday at 9, exclusive to Channel 5 and My5.
This is Andi Purewal, Boxing Social, in association with Betfred, and I'm joined by Dave Coldwell over Zoom. Dave, firstly, how are you?
I'm very good, thanks, mate. How's yourself?
I'm all good. It's good to catch up with you once again. Obviously, a weekend with boxing back. Last weekend we had no boxing. This weekend we had Sky Show, we had a BT show, we had Daniel Dubois out in Miami. Who's kind of all going on.
It's made up for it. I've literally because I was out last night at a benefit do in Leeds. I didn't get to see the fights live, so literally today, I mean, what we're on 8:15. I've literally just finished catching up on all the boxing, and like there was 2 Sky shows last night, one from over here, one from America with Top Rank. There was the Daniel Dubois one. There was BT. So I've had a full day since I got back from Leeds football this morning. I've had a full day of watching boxing. So I'm caught up now. So yeah, it's been good.
We'll obviously come on to those shows shortly. Just firstly, we'll get an update from yourself on the gym, the guys. Lerone, Hopi, Jordan, obviously Stephen as well. Where does the land lie with all of them, Dave?
Training. We're training. We're working to improve, developing. That's all we can take is day at a time, a week at a time. Keep working hard, and waiting for dates. Should be some news on Hopi dropping soon. But with the others, I don't know. Stephen Cairns should have a date hopefully next week, or this week. If not this week, it'll be next week. So, yeah.
Jordan
crossed.
and Lerone in particular, obviously further along in their careers than what Hopi and Stephen are, but given where they both are, you know, Lerone holding the IBO title, Jordan being the European champion on the back of what was that stunning knockout against Karen Murphy, there seems to be just a bit quiet around them at the minute. Not obviously any kind of blame on your part, but what's kind of been behind that silence? Is there something big going on in the background, or?
So Jordan, I don't know if you know, he broke his hand in that fight.
Yeah.
He's had an ongoing hand injury for about a year, 18 months through the pandemic, a lot since before the Bloody fight. And so he saw my kit and got right. As soon as he won that European title, got through the fight, got the operation done, and that's a 3 months. You know, that's a 3 months recovery time as such. So he's been training with one hand. Now he's just started this week. Just started using it. We always said with Jordan, we're looking at September. You know, he could be back August, but I would rather leave that for the sake of a couple of more weeks. Leave him until September. So there's no rush on his side of things. It's just that we'd like to kind of know what's happening, because he's got a mandatory slapped on him straight away. It was Horte, I think it is. I think it's Italian, I think it is. But yeah, he's his mandatory. So whether we're doing that or something else opens up, I don't know. But Lerone Richards has no injuries, no nothing. He's been in the gym all the time. He had 2 weeks off after his fight, and he's basically, because he basically lives up here, goes back every so often and goes over to Belfast to see his son weekends. But yeah, he's been in the gym just training, developing, and just waiting.
How frustrating of a period have you found this for Lerone, Dave? Because obviously he picks up that win against Carlos Gongora, looks very good. And you would have thought, and especially on the back of that, there were so many domestic names to the bare minimum which were kind of being bandied about. Nothing materialising as of yet. And I've seen, obviously, you've been alongside him when he's done interviews, and now he's starting to maybe show that frustration a bit more, calling people out.
I'm frustrated, he's pissed off. Let's get that right. Lerone's a really, really laid back sort of kid, really, really polite kid, but he's done really, really well to stay focused on his training, because he is. Well, I think what it is sometimes, even when the fight dates aren't there, just your name being thrown into the mix and your profile staying up there. Listen, he's just had his win, and actually his wins his last 2 wins, De Carolis, look at what De Carolis has just done. De Carolis has like just done to number 8 or number 9 in the rankings. And, you know, you look at how Lerone handled De Carolis, gets no credit. Even after that, after De Carolis has come back with that win, there's no talk about what Lerone did to this guy. And oh, hang on a minute, that makes Lerone's win even bigger. There's been no talk about that. The Gongora win's a massive win on a world scale. That gave him a top 10 ranking in the Ring magazine. But again, there's no talk about Lerone. And it's like, when you're talking about the super middleweights with potential fights here, there, he's pissed off because his name's not even getting mentioned. And I understand that because don't get me wrong, I understand from a promoter's point of view, it's very difficult because people don't want to fight Lerone. But what irritates a little bit is when you hear people talk about other fighters like Devin Haney, who's just won the Undisputed with a pure boxing display, and it's you don't get the word from the promoters and people like that. You don't get the word about how difficult it is to match them or how not entertaining it is or whatever. But it's more in a positive way. But then with Lerone, it's kind of like, oh well, is boring, or is this? It's not about his skills. It's not about his boxing ability. Don't forget, Lerone's only has 16 fights, and in his 16th fight, he's gone in there against Gongora, who's a killer, and he's a big puncher. Had he stood and traded with Gongora from round 1, then people say he's stupid because he's liable to get knocked out. And had he got knocked out, then he gets slagged off. But because he boxes, you watch. I watched Berlanga last night, who's monster puncher, goes up against another monster puncher and boxes intelligently. And nobody's saying, oh, he's just boxing, he's boring, blah, blah. But Lerone boxes, but he lets his hands go as well. And he shows a lot of class and a lot of skills. And if you watch the Gongora fight, he was standing in the pocket with him a lot more. And against De Carolis, the same. And he's getting what I'm seeing now in the gym with him as well. We've spoken and we're working on it, but now also because he's getting more pissed off, he's understanding more. Like I said, he's only 16 fights in, so you have to give him time to develop, find himself. Obviously, for us to have gelled, when he first come, and activity, so he's got the confidence to try these things in fights. He's been doing things in the fights in against top level. Now he's adding more spite to his game, and you're going to see more of a spite because he's pissed off. In the Gongora fight, after about 7 rounds, I wanted him to be more spiteful and stand on him a little bit more. And I think he did it in up to 70, round 7, I think it was. And I thought, right, this is where it's going now. He's going to end up stopping Gongora. I believe he could have stopped Gongora down the stretch, but as inexperienced, that's 16 fights in, and you're throwing in a top fight, top level fight. So there's a lot of question marks in your head. So you have to come through those kind of fights before you have the confidence to think, okay, right, well, next time. But then you're just branded as this who needs him fighter and oh, he's boring or whatever. So then you just left waiting for an opportunity. So you're going to see a more spiteful Lerone Richards. We've seen it in sparring. We're seeing how he is. But it's just that he needs the dates, and for people say, oh, you've not heard of him. Oh, well, that's you need putting out there. You need being mentioned because John Ryder, fantastic fighter, but his best wins against an old Daniel Jacobs. Lerone would have stopped Daniel Jacobs that night. I'm telling you, styles make fights. We were sat there ringside. He would have stopped Daniel Jacobs. And we said we would fight Daniel Jacobs. We would go to Brooklyn for Daniel Jacobs' comeback fight. If he's coming back, we're fighting in Brooklyn. Lerone's got IBO title. It's top 10 ranking. It's his quickest route to get back in. Then they're talking about Billy Joe Saunders coming back to fight Ryder. And yes, that's a good rematch from years ago. But if Ryder's not having, we kind of thought, Ryder's going down the WBA route, so we're not even mentioning John Ryder, because he's got his own path for WBA. But if he's not going down that route, if you're not getting that shot anytime soon, Lerone sat there. So why? Yes, Billy Joe's a big name, but Billy's got to, he's been out for a while. He's got to get himself in shape, and then going there off of this layoff and getting his weight down to go in and get shot. Why not just make Ryder and Lerone, and the winner of that can then either get you shot at a world title, Canelo talking about everybody waiting in line trying to get a shot at Canelo, but go and fight each other. Well, Lerone's willing to fight. He's not sitting there saying, I'm just waiting for Canelo, hoping that an opportunity comes, or he's not sitting there saying, I'm just waiting to, till all the belts come vacant. He's willing to take fight, but like people like Ryder in the same stable, and it'd be a good fight. I'm sure that'd sell well in London. I'm sure it would. But I don't know. I don't manage Lerone, so I'm just on a trainer's point of view, see the frustration of him in the gym. But also I admire the professionalism of it in the gym, because he's training as though he has a fight day. He's training as though, he's training to improve. He knows what he's got to do, because he knows that he's not going to get, no easy touches as such. But he's 16 fights in, mate, and he's achieved a hell of a lot. British Commonwealth, European, IBO world title, a proper world level win. And it'd be nice for him to kind of get some activity rather than just being offered, fights against killers where it's kind of like he's the underdog all the time.
One name I want to throw out there, Dave, and it's not one which I could anticipate happening because of promotional differences, is Zach Parker. That's been a fight which I've seen a lot of people mention. I'd actually really like to see Zach and Lerone face, which I think would be a great fight. Of course, a lot would have to be kind of agreed upon on the promotional sense, with Zach being with Frank and obviously Lerone with Eddie and Matchroom. But what about that fight?
Yeah, good fight. Good fight again. It's a good fight. It's a fight that it do, as they like to say, good numbers, I would imagine, in the UK. You've got to compare it to what I looked at the shows. I'm looking at shows at the moment. I'm not necessarily matching shows, BT shows, everybody shows. Nobody's selling out big arenas at the moment. The shows they're not big 10, 15,000 seat arenas being sold out. So for the numbers that all these main events are doing, then I'm sure John Ryder, Lerone Richards against Zach Parker, I'm sure those kind of fights would do good numbers in terms of how things are right now. Also, it's good domestic rivalries and people like that. So yeah, that's something that, if it was presented, if it could be worked out, then yeah. But also there's the whole, I get what you're saying, the whole promotional side of things, and obviously with I'm not his manager, so I can't speak for them, but I know how obviously Lerone left Frank Warren, so I don't know how that goes, going back to boxing on a Warren show and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know. That's when you actually think about it, you think, oh, maybe that's a tougher one to make as such. But it's a good fight. It is a good fight.
Dave, just moving forwards, or rather moving backwards to
I'll tell you what's a good fight as well. After watching it last night, either Berlanga or Angulo that fought last night, they're good fights for someone like Lerone. They're good fights.
What did you make of Berlanga last night, and what did you make of the biting incident?
I was amazed how it's just kind of like being brushed over. That's bad. And there was a couple of little things. I mean, I'm a fan of his. I like watching him and the story behind him and everything. It's something that you makes you want to root for him. But there was a couple of little instances in that fight where I just thought, huh? And one was the biting, and then at the end of the fight, just right at the end, he gets caught with the right hand. Then the bell goes, and then it looked as though he was trying to stick knot on him or trying to do something. As though I don't know what that's about. Maybe that's the sign of somebody who can easily get frustrated. which makes it a good night for Lerone Richards.
I mean, you've just mentioned it, obviously, for Edgar, he's gone 16 fights to begin with, first round knockouts, and now he's starting to go the distance. Do you feel that
up in levels?
Yeah, exactly. And you think he's just starting to find that frustration? Maybe he might even be questioning himself and his own abilities a little bit.
Some fighters, maybe when other people are quite, listen, you've got world of social media where you're seeing every comment and things like that. They may feel, along with people in boxing that start whispering and saying, oh, maybe the power's overrated, they may feel that ego thing where they need to show people and remind people that they've got that power. And if it's not happening, then maybe they don't take it so well. But again, he's, what is he, 19 fights, 20 fights in? He's quite an experience, because you've got to remember his first 16 fights, like it was, rolling first round. Yeah. So he's not had many rounds. He's not, he isn't an experienced fighter. But he's learned a lot more in these last few fights where they've gone the distance, and especially the Angulo fight last night. He'll have learned loads from that, and it'll make him so much better fighter. It was a good fight, a really good fight.
How did you score it, Dave?
I'll be honest with you, I wasn't. Listen, last night, or today, should I say, I've watched the fights. I haven't scored them. I've watched them because this is what it is. If I've got no interest in that weight division or those fighters, then I will score. And I'm thinking, oh, who's winning this fight? When I'm watching people that my man might be fighting, either of the guys, especially with two guys where you think, like I said to you, Angulo as well. So I'm looking at these guys and I'm thinking, because I'm thinking of them as prospective opponents, possible opponents, I'm looking at how we beat them, what they're doing well, what they're doing. I think we can capitalize on what we need to watch out for. That's as I'm watching the fight as a fan and enjoying the fight. I'm still watching it like that. I'm not bothered. I'm not interested in scoring. You have a feeling who's winning the fight, but I'm not scoring.
Did Berlanga win for you?
Yeah, but it wasn't. I didn't feel as though it was comfortable. I thought the scoring was pretty shit. If I remember right, I thought the scoring was pretty shit, because I thought Angulo had those uppercuts as well. He had some really good rounds in there, but I thought he did just win the fight.
I mean, mentioning scoring there, Dave, and we can move on to the main event for last night. Obviously, two scores which were quite close, but then the one from, I believe it was Terry O'Connor, 118, 111.
So I'm watching it. Listen, good fight. And again, I'm watching it because I've got Opie Price. He's not there yet, but obviously he's a prospect, good prospect. And I'm looking at, this is right. Opie, this is what's British title level at the moment. This is what we need to do, blah, blah. So I'm watching them. And I really enjoyed the fight. Mark Leach, I think, is a very, very good fighter. Very clever fighter. Loves setting traps. Very good fighter. Liam's got power and obviously his range. And I thought it was a really good blend. And I enjoyed the fight. But I didn't notice. And about halfway through the fight, camera angle goes, and I saw Terry O'Connor. And the initial reaction was, he's from Midlands. And so is Liam, innit? I'm sure that's right. Yeah. So I'm thinking, fucking hell. Okay. And then it comes to the scorecards. So firstly, I thought Liam was in control, really in control. And there's a point as well midway where Mark Leach looked like he was tired, and it looked like the power had zapped his energy loads, and it just looked like he was struggling a bit. And fucking hell, it just brilliant. And you know what it all hinged on as well? For me, I thought Liam Davis got a little bit, I don't like to say cocky because it's part of people's personality and thing, but I think he got a bit complacent because he started smiling, and every time he nailed him, he shot smiling. And there was one bit where he does the old jelly legs job. And from that moment on, from the next round on, I don't think he had a grip on that fight at all. And that's how Mark Leach came back into the fight. It's almost like Mark thought, no, fuck you, cheeky bastard, and switched on more and was more alert. And you know, and maybe Liam got complacent, and then from thinking he'd got him to then realise, hang on a minute, this is getting a bit more trickier. It's very, very hard mentally as well. So again, it's experience. These are you know, fighters that haven't had shitloads of fights, especially at championship level. But I just thought Leach come back into it. So for me, it was very, very close. It ended up really, really close. From where I thought it was going to be quite wide, it ended up really, really close. But then when it comes to judges' scorecards, mate, you can have your 115, 113s and stuff like that, because it's very, very close, that is. But when you've got, again, what was it, 118, 110?
111, 118, 111.
Yeah. Right. So, mate, dog shit. Again. And it's always the same one. Always. And yet, nothing happens, and they're there, and they're sat there. The right man won. You can say the right man won, right? Because, in my opinion, the right man won, right? But just imagine if he didn't. Just when the others are, mate, it's just because the right man won, these sort of things don't blow up as much. But you have to understand that it's still wrong. That how are you seeing that? How are you seeing that? You know what? And it's I will always say, why are these guys not being asked? How did you come to that conclusion? What we're seeing in those rounds, how? Because that was a lot closer fight than what he gave it credit for, and what he gave Mark Leach credit for. It's almost like he's just thought, Mark Leach, fuck that, he's not winning. I'm not saying he has done, but because these judges aren't allowed, and I do think some of them would actually say, for instance, remember when Steve Gray ignored the towel? Remember when the towel got thrown in? I think it was Ritson.
Yeah.
And he threw it back out. He ignored it. Ritson ends up getting stopped anyway, right? Everybody, I was at the time ringside. I was like, "What the fuck's he up?" I was fuming with that. But then I saw a clip of him where he goes backstage into the change room and speaks to him and explains himself to him. And I thought, wicked, right? I see that. Gets it with body shot. I didn't think he read to Ed. I thought I'd give him more chance. And because he explained it, then I felt a bit of a twat for fucking going off at Steve about it. Because I thought, I see your point of view now. This is my whole point. In the heat of the moment, with decisions and things like that, we can, when we're supporting one man, or if we see a fight a certain way, we can like be a bit emotional, pissed off, fuming, because you don't get the answer. If somebody then explains to you straight away, well, actually, in this round, that round, blah, blah, I saw it as this. The angle that I was sat at, I didn't see those uppercuts landing. I didn't see those little left hooks, because there was a couple of rounds where Leach was just catching a little clipping left hooks or right hooks, little clipping right hooks. And if you're at a certain angle, you might not see them landing. And I get that, I can have that, but let them speak. And this is the problem. It's the border control. At the end of the day, it's them that's protecting the judges, but you're not protecting them, because what you're doing, you're allowing everybody to speculate about what is the reason. Why has he seen that? It's because he favours other man, because he doesn't like that corner, he doesn't like that fighter, doesn't like that trainer, doesn't like that promoter. You're allowing people to speculate in a negative manner because it seems that way. So you're not protecting the judges at all. The board need to be able to say to the guys, look, if you wish to speak and explain your decision in interviews and things like that, you're free to do so. I think that's how it needs to be. Leave it to, if they want to, and then if the judges turn around and say, no, I'm not, well, then you can start saying what you want to say. But give them the option to. Because like I said, Steve Gray, when I saw that clip of him explaining, that changed me straight away. I was like, okay, I understand. I might not agree with it, but I understand. There it is. It's an explanation. When there's no explanation, and if I hadn't seen that, I still think, what's he doing? What's he doing that for? And that's what it's down to. That's part of communication and understanding. And I don't think the board are doing themselves any favours.
Dave, away from that main event and onto the Sky One, Richard Riakporhe with that second round stoppage victory against Fabio Turchi, that body shot to finish it off. Just your thoughts on that, and what next for Richard in your eyes?
Well, firstly, what a good result that were. What a lovely shot. Beautiful shot. When you look at his resume and you look at the domestic cruiserweights that we've got, he's got some brilliant wins. He's got some brilliant wins, really, really good wins. He's doing it kind of the old school way where you clean up, like, you clean up the UK first, then you move on and so on and so on. And so he's doing really, really well. Sky keeping him active, which is no doubt helping. The work that he's doing in his gym with Angel Fernandez and everybody obviously suits him, and he's getting more of an understanding of the game. And he's lapping it up. So what comes next? Listen, he's in his 30s, isn't
he?
Yeah. So you got to say, take the L plates off and go for it, son. The cruiserweight division. Listen, stay away from McCauley. I do think Cole is a different beast at cruiserweight, but that's something that you'd probably look at as a unification, rather than going as your first world title shot. But yeah, look towards getting a world title crack or there or thereabouts. Step right up in levels up to world level, proper world level now.
We saw the corner team of Robert Garcia and Angel Fernandez last night. First glimpse of them working together in a fight. Obviously, Robert has now teamed up with Anthony Joshua, Dave. Just get your thoughts on that link-up as well. Obviously, having seen Robert there, your thoughts on that partnership.
I don't know how Robert Garcia works. All I know is I look at the fighters that he's worked with, and the one thing that I worry about with certain coaches, they work with fighters that in a certain way where they are. I'm not meaning to be like knocking anybody, but like Freddie Roach, Garcia, they seem to work with fighters that don't mind taking a shot or being in that pocket to land a shot. Do you know what I mean? And it's one thing being aggressive and having a war or whatever, or being a fighter first, or a box fighter, but I think you've got to have that capability as a fighter. We've already seen that Usyk has got enough power to buzz AJ, so he has to be very, very careful with that. It's on my opinion, but I do think AJ needs to put it on him. He can't afford to box him. Looks trying to box him, but you need to be intelligent in doing so. So I don't know enough about what. That's where I would see probably Angel's influence more, and still being smart and still being cute and clever. So it might marry really, really well, but I don't know, and how it works. I don't know how it's going to work. Who's going to talk? How it's going to be. I'm not sure. I'm not experienced enough in terms of having multiple coaches and stuff to really have a valid sort of point on that, really, I suppose.
One thing I do just want to get your thoughts on it all, Dave, is I've seen Robert Garcia's comments that, since he's began to work with AJ, seen there might be more of a mental problem with him that they're trying to kind of
We've always said that.
On the back of the defeats, especially. Can you understand where he's coming from?
Yeah. I think we've always said that. I think we've always said that there's been a bit of a shift since the Klitschko fight, really. It's not even about the losses. Since the Klitschko fight, the mind controls everything. So if Garcia can fix that, mate, he's worth his weight in gold. Because, the people that have known him best haven't, and that's not knocking them, but what I'm saying is it's a very, very, if that's what the problem is, and you've only got X amount of weeks to work with that person, the people that have known him best all the way through his career is, people around him all the time, people like Robert McCracken, his friends, his management, whatever. If they haven't been able to fix that problem in all the time since the Klitschko fight, since the Ruiz fight, and then since the Usyk fight, then it's a big ask for somebody that doesn't quite know you on that level. We can all assume, oh yeah, you can see that's a bit of a mental problem. That's fine. That's identified. But I think everyone kind of knew that. But it's fixing it. But AJ's got to fix that, if that's the case, And I think it's if that's acknowledged and accepted on AJ's behalf, that's a massive step forward, because sometimes it's like anything. If you don't acknowledge that that's a weakness, that that's a problem, then you ain't never going to fix it, because you say nothing wrong with me. I'm same as I always have been. Well, you're not going to fix it. But if he's acknowledged it and think, okay, right, yeah, I do need to work on that. Now may be where they start working on that, and that's why they might get results now. So at least they know about it.
Dave, moving away from AJ and just sticking with the heavyweight, so we did see Daniel Dubois with a 4th-round stoppage victory against Trevor Bryan last night to pick up the regular WBA title. Just your thoughts on his performance and what you'd like to see next for him?
I'm pleased for him, because he got a lot of shit after that loss. And Trevor Bryan, stuff he was saying before the fight, to then turn up like he was Buster Douglas against Holyfield, that's embarrassing. But do you know what? It's the most animated I've ever seen Daniel Dubois. I was after that fight, and it was nice to see. He looked like a kid that was just like absolutely buzzing. So it was good to see. Good performance, a confident performance, and we all know he can punch, but it was good to see. And it was strange because it was in Miami, right?
Yeah.
But it looked like it were being filmed on YouTube from somewhere in deepest, darkest Africa. You know, it was looked terrible. And I'm thinking is, I'm sure I saw an interview with Don King recently where he was slating, I think he was slating Eddie Earnoff. And I'm thinking, he's slating the guy that's probably the most successful promoter right now, and he's been at the top of his game, putting on stadiums, arenas, this, banging them all out, gone to another country and is doing really well in another country. And you're coming back with that. And I thought, that just looked terrible as a promotion's concerned. But as far as performance concerned, I thought Daniel was very, very good. You can only beat what's in front of you. You can only collect whatever belt it is that you're fighting for. But it's a piece of silverware that gives him a bargaining chip. And more importantly for me is it's great for development. That's what it's like. What I saw Laron's IBO title for. I don't say, oh, he's the world champion. He's IBO world champion, but it's a good title for him to learn, get the right fights, to learn, to progress. And it's the same with the WBA regular at heavyweight, because there shouldn't be a WBA regular at heavyweight. Not when you've got a unification that's just happened, and when you've got a unification happening with the WBA title, with the biggest names out there, and they're looking for a full unification with Fury to tie up all the belts, but then you've got this WBA regular champion over here as well. It shouldn't be, but it's a great belt for Dubois to now make some really good fights. That's because it's a bargaining chip. Joseph Parker, Dillian Whyte, I would love to see those sort of fights. And whereas when Dubois not got anything, what's the point? Well, if Joseph Parker and Dillian aren't going to get a crack at a world title fight anytime soon, because you've got Usyk and AJ, then you've got Fury possibly if he comes out of retirement. For that little triangle, the belts are going to be tied up. So you've got Daniel Dubois here with the WBA regular, and that makes it mandatory for the WBA anyway. So there's a perfect sort of carrot there. So hopefully Dubois gets those kind of fights now. And I also watching Paul Dempsey speak. It's like they keep bringing up Joe Joyce's name, but almost kind of like he had to say, oh, but Dubois was winning on points and this. It doesn't matter. Joe Joyce beat him. Just let the man have his credit for beating him. Whatever's happening in his career right now, and you got to look at Frank Warren, how he's pulled that off. Dubois got beat. Warren's put him straight in there, and he's got his crack. Fair play. And he's taken his opportunity. Fair play. But when you get people like that are still kind of like trying to keep somebody else down there that's had the win, that I find that frustrating as well. But yeah, I'm pleased for Dubois, and like I said, it was nice to see him all animated and excited afterwards as well.
One name you mentioned there is Dillian-Whyte, Dave. What would you make of a fight between Daniel Dubois and Dillian-Whyte?
I think it'd be cracking. I think it'd be great. It'd be great, mate. Fireworks in that one. Fireworks. It's like there's potential there. Dillian-Whyte and Dubois, Dillian-Whyte and Joseph Parker, Dillian-Whyte and Joe Joyce. What? And there's fighters there we've got that you make any of those sort of fights together, cracking fights, really, really good fights. And are any of those going to get a crack at the real heavyweight titles at the moment? I don't think so. So they make good fights, and the fights that fans would pack out arenas for, and viewing numbers would be great. So when you're, as a promoter, when you're looking at those sort of things, then they're fights that I would think are worth making.
Dave, sticking with the heavyweight division, another fight announced for July 9th is Derek Chisora and Purew. Now, so you've worked with Derek recently. Where are you going to be working with him for this Pulev fight?
No.
When did kind of things, under that assumption, then end between yourself and Derek, Dave?
His last fight.
So do you have any idea as to what he'll be, or who he'll be training with ahead of Pulev?
Nope, no idea.
So what do you make of the fight?
It surprised me because I was kind of excited listening to possibilities of Kawanake. Unfortunately, I saw Eddie's interview where he said Derek taking a photo of that contract being signed, everything kind of like alerted other people to come and spoil the party. But I thought it would either be Kawanake, Ariola, something like that. I never expected Pulev at all. And it is what it is. It's Pulev.
How difficult of a fight do you find that for Derek, Dave? Because I remember when Deontay Wilder's name was being bandied about, you wasn't so keen to see.
No, I didn't know, and that's where like, listen, in the changing rooms of after the last fight, the Parker fight, I just said, I thought with the crowd singing his name out and everything, I just said to myself, it's perfect time to retire. And I thought it was. But then when I saw, people mentioning Deontay Wilder, I was like, fuck no, that's just why. I wanted, if Derek's going to carry on, I wanted him in a fight where it's a winnable fight. Where, I think he deserves that after the career he's at. He deserves that. He's had a hell of a career, and he always gives his 100%, and he's going to give everything to it. He's going to put everything into it. So, give him if anybody deserves. You see so many fighters that are given an easier ride, and they have a loss and they come back and they have they're still topping a build, but it's a fight where it's mainly in their favor. But Chisora never gets that. Chisora always gets the tough, the hard, where he's the underdog sort of thing. And I just wanted to see him, if he's going to carry on, get a fight where I think he's earned it, where he's the favorite. So yeah, that was just my sort of idea towards Chisora. Pulev, I haven't seen his last fight. I don't know what it looked like. So I don't really know. Like I said, it kind of like came out of left field. I didn't even guess that one was going to happen. All I remember, the first one was years ago, and that Derek's different to this Derek. But I think I seem to remember that Pulev won that, like, legit won it. I think the jab was a big problem, but I haven't seen it like for years, so I don't know. I just hope Derek wins it. That's all. But it's a better fight for him than a Wilder fight, or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think it's more difficult than Kawanake?
Depends what Pulev's got left, but yeah, if Pulev's like resembles the fighter that he was, then yeah, it's more of a difficult night than Kawanake, I think.
What about the version that fought Anthony Joshua?
Yeah, but Derek's not Anthony Joshua, is he? That's the thing. Pulev gets in ring with Joshua and he don't look so big. He gets in ring with Derek and he looks a lump. So you can't really say that.
Final one, just get your thoughts on it's a double header of sorts on July 2nd, Michael Hunter and Hughie Fury, and then we'll see Ricky Hatton return against Marco Antonio Barrera after that. Just your thoughts on that double header, Dave.
Is that what it is? Is that what you're calling it? A double header?
Well, from my understanding, I think
where's Ricky's fight?
so it's all at the Manchester Arena, or the AO Arena, I believe it's called now. So I think the Sky card happens first, and then as soon as that's done, there's a changeover or what have you, and then Ricky Hatton's fight comes on under the new.
But what time? So how does that work? So if you've bought a ticket,
you can attend both.
You just stay in and you can watch that. But so what time that can happen? Because Sky Show is probably going to finish late, isn't it?
Well, I'm not sure, but then I think I saw a tweet the other day saying that the Hatton fight will be on Sky as well. So I don't imagine it will be too late into the night, knowing that.
Right. All right. I didn't know that. Listen, I'm not a fan of this sort of stuff as such, but it's an exhibition. And what I will say is that I've seen a picture of Ricky Hatton. Man's in shape. He's done so well. So it's a positive because it's got him focused and got himself in good shape and looking healthy and looking really, really well. And I saw his Instagram post, how happy he is and proud that he got to spar with his son. And so it's a positive. I'm really happy for him. And as long as the night goes his way and he enjoys it, and we don't have no cuts and stuff like that happening or anything happening, then I hope he enjoys it and cracks on. As for Hunter and Fury, I'll be honest with you, it's either going to be really good or it's going to be really bad. Because Hunter, he can be hard work. Very good fighter, it can be hard work. Hughie, I feel as though actually he's getting more and more confident. He's kind of like growing into himself now. He's maturing. So I think Hughie Fury's going to win the fight. I do think he's going to win that. I think it's going to be a standout performance. I think he's going to rise to the occasion. And I do think he's going to win the fight. How it might end up being a bit messy because, like I said, both of them can be messy, but Hunter, I don't know. It's either going to be really, really good, or it's going to be awful. But I do think Fury wins the fight.
Right, Dave, we've taken probably a lot longer of your time than I thought you may have anticipated at the beginning of this evening. But it's been great to catch up with you, to talk some boxing. I'll now leave you to enjoy what's left of your Sunday. And yeah, have a good week, mate. And thanks for speaking to me on Boxing Social.
And you, mate. Nice one. Take care.